The U.S. government is planning an unprecedented and sweeping review of the world's largest tech companies. Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon are likely targets of potential antitrust investigations.
Federal regulators, along with Congress, are working to determine whether these companies have too much power at the expense of healthy competition. CBS News chief congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes is with us now from Capitol Hill. So, Nancy, exactly what is behind the crackdown on the country's biggest tech companies? And as I understand it, it's sort of divided into two groups.
Right. So this is something that's been kind of percolating for a few years now, really since the 2016 elections, when there was a much brighter spotlight shined on some of these tech giants who were seen as being somewhat cavalier and arrogant, at least as far as lawmakers were concerned, in the face of some of these privacy and data breaches and the use of their platforms by outside actors to try to influence the 2016 presidential election. They have been more responsive since, but there has been this ongoing desire among lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to do something about the tremendous power that a handful of these tech giants have. Just today, the top Republican in the House, Kevin McCarthy, flat out called Google a monopoly that controls 90% of search. Lawmakers believe that perhaps antitrust laws, which after all were invented 100 years ago, back in the time of the railroads, really aren't adequate to deal with these modern day behemoths. And so what the House Judiciary Committee is doing is essentially undertaking a top to bottom review of the market dominance that some of these companies like Facebook and Google have, and also at the same time looking at the nation's antitrust statutes to see if those need to be overhauled. While all that's taking place, then, as you pointed out, Anne-Marie, they're going to be potentially conducting investigations in federal agencies as well. So you'd have the Department of Justice taking a big chunk of those investigations, Google, Apple, and then the Federal Trade Commission potentially looking into Facebook and Amazon. So we could be looking at a whole new world for some of these companies, depending on what these investigations find.
So, Nancy, what do lawmakers feel is the line that some of these tech companies have crossed?
Well, it depends on the lawmaker. You know, you have folks like Elizabeth Warren, who's running for president, saying that some of these companies like Apple should be broken apart, while others say that they simply have too much power, too much market dominance, and that it's actually the nation's laws, not the companies themselves, that need to be shaken up. So that's part of what this House Judiciary Committee investigation that was announced yesterday is really going to do. They're going to start out with hearings, talking to experts. They're also, they say, going to conduct closed-door depositions, and they're going to subpoena some of these tech executives if they don't show up, as they try to dig deeper into this issue. It's really the first time that a systematic review like this has taken place here on Capitol Hill since the rise of these massive tech companies over the past 20 years or so.